The gentleman from American Samoa is recognized.
Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to extend and revise my remarks.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong support of H.R. 1679 as amended, a bill to amend the Expedited Funds Availability Act to clarify the application of that act to American Samoa and to the Commonwealth and the Northern Mariana Islands. Mr. Speaker, this has been a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank Chairman Jeb Serlin and Ranking Member Maxine Waters of the Committee on Financial Services for bringing this legislation on the floor today. I also want to thank my good friend Congressman Kalili Sablan for his support of this bill. And I would be remiss if I did not also express my appreciation to the subcommittee chairman of our Financial Committee, Congresswoman Shelley Capito, and Ranking Member Gregory Meeks for their efforts in supporting this bill. Mr. Speaker, this legislation is important because it will not only improve the current banking system in both territories, but it will also allow our constituents quicker access to their funds. I introduced this legislation last year because one of our only two banks in the territory was scheduled to close all of its branches for good. In working together with Governor Lolo and many stakeholders in delaying the bank's departure, we learned that there was a systematic delay in access to funds for bank customers in American Samoa. H.R. 1679 will fix this delay and will put American Samoa and the Commonwealth and the Northern Mariana Islands in line with the scheduled availability of funds that are already required of banks in all states and other territories under Regulation CC. Under Regulation CC, banks in the U.S. mainland and certain territories are required to make funds available for consumer use for in-state checks no later than second business day after the check is deposited. Out-of-state checks can be held up to 5 business days before funds can be released. Banks in Hawaii, Alaska, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico may, at their discretion, hold out-of-state checks for an extra day. This is not the same for American Samoa. Checks can be held for an intermittent and indeterminate amount of time, even up to 21 days, before funds are available for the consumer to have access. This is unfair for my constituents and has a direct and indirect impact on our local economy. For the record, I do not hold the banks at fault, but given the trend of electronic banking and quicker access to mailing services, I feel that they are able to provide quicker and better services for their customers. Again, I thank Chairman Herslarling and Ranking Member Waters and their staff for their work on this legislation, and I urge my colleagues to support this bill.